It's Wednesday, December 14. In the headlines, JUTC embarking on a pilot to test public passenger electric bus. Regionally in Antigua, relief for public servants fired weeks before qualifying for pension. Internationally, U.S. charges FTX's bankman Freed with fraud. And in sports, Royal Air Maroc cancels flight to Doha before FIFA World Cup 2022 semi-final. The decision could leave hundreds of Moroccan fans stranded before a historic World Cup semi-final against France. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, is embarking on a pilot program to roll out the country's first public passenger electric bus. Managing Director Paul Abrams says the unit, valued at $285,000 has been provided to the JUTC for the 6-month project at no cost to the country. The unit has a seating capacity of 35 with standing room for 20 passengers. However, some seats will give way to facilities for the disabled. Maya Chung tells us more.
Managing Director of the Jamaican Urban Transit Corporation, Paul Abrahams, said the criteria for testing include the type of terrain that the buses operate on, maintenance, routing, and battery life. He indicated that there is a device in the charging facility that measures the kilowatts of electricity used when the unit is being powered up. This, the managing director explained, will enable the JUTC to calculate the percentage of electricity relating to the facility that is used each month. Mr. Abrahams informed that upon completion of the testing phase, discussions will be held with the Ministry of Transport and Mining on the way forward regarding purchasing the bus. He pointed out, however, that there is currently no contractual arrangement with the manufacturer or the local dealer. Mr. Abrams told JIS News that the JUTC's move is consistent with the government's focus on prioritizing energy efficiency. The managing director, who further noted that fuel diversification has been a long-standing priority at the JUTC, said the entity has been exploring the possibility of utilizing buses fueled by natural gas as well as a biodiesel project. Mr. Abrahams informed that the move basically fits into a plan to possibly try and convert the JUTC's fleet from diesel-operated buses to a more efficient form of energy.
The Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries has issued an updated statement on the incident involving an unmarked fishing vessel apprehended by JDF Coast Guard at Pedro Bank. In the statement, Minister Pernell Charles Jr. says that the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries continues to monitor the incident that took place on Sunday, December 11, 2022 at 9:45 a.m. Maya Chung has more.
Minister Charles said that as the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, he commended and applauded the swift efforts of the Jamaica Defense Force 2nd District in collaboration with the National Fisheries Authority in defending Jamaican waters against the imminent threat from this unmarked fishing vessel, which was conducting illegal fishing activities. The unmarked and unregistered fishing vessel was intercepted by the JDF Coast Guard. Reports indicate that the personnel on board the unmarked vessel became hostile. Notwithstanding, the crew of some 131 personnel and the unmarked vessel were apprehended and taken into custody, where they were transported to the JDF Coast Guard's base at Port Royal. The minister says that the government of Jamaica remains resolute in protecting its marine and coastal ecosystems from illegal, unreported, and unregulated IUU fishing activities and enforcing the Fisheries Act of 2018 and the Exclusive Economic Zone Act, which safeguards Jamaican waters from these crimes. IUU and other related crimes are crippling Jamaica's capacity to earn from the fisheries sector. Minister Charles said that in 2022 alone, the Jamaican government had incurred significant losses from its most profitable fisheries.
As Jamaicans, we have the right to freedom from discrimination on the grounds of sex, race, place of origin, social class, color, religion, or political opinions. The right to protection from torture or inhuman or degrading punishment or other treatment. These are fundamental rights and freedoms to which citizens are entitled, are guaranteed in Jamaica's constitution and through legislation. Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahoo Fort, reminded participants of this fact while speaking at the ministry's Human Rights Forum 2022, held at Jamaica House on Monday, December 12.
Now, the guarantee of these rights and freedom in legislation is an important part of the work, but it is not the full extent of the work. And we have moved further to guarantee the rights not only as a contract between the state and its citizens, but also between citizens and citizens. And that is why when we thought about the approach of the ministry and the theme to be selected, we chose, "We are all in this together. My right, your responsibility."
Mrs. Malahoo Fort says the conversation in Jamaica regarding citizens' fundamental rights has been skewed in one direction, adding that Jamaica should celebrate the achievements it has made.
As much as I understand the grievance still to be resolved, the issues still to be addressed, it is of critical importance that we celebrate the achievements that we have made.
The forum was held in commemoration of International Human Rights Day, which was observed on December 10. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR, was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on December 10, 1948. Time now for the Business Report with Danita Rodney.
The Jamaica Boilers Group, JBG, is reporting a $1.04 billion loss following the group's decision to discontinue operations in Haiti in October. JBG had taken the decision in September to wind up operations in the French-speaking territory due to the country's economic and political instability, in addition to its vulnerability to natural disasters. Meanwhile, the group's Jamaica operations saw total revenues of over $20 billion. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, December 13, the US dollar sold for an average of $154.28. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $112.89. The pound sterling traded for $188.79, and the euro sold for $165.31. In GSE trading, the GSE index advanced by 363 points. The junior market index declined by 72 points. The combined market index declined by 314 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 97 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 102 stocks, of which 43 advanced, 40 declined, and 19 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Stocks declined for Access Financial Services Limited, Carga Handlers Limited, and Caribbean Cream Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference, CAC 2000 9.5% Cumulative Redeemable Preference Shares, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. The overall volume leaders were Jamaica Boilers Group with over 5 million units, Switch Company Limited, and Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 2 million units. In regional business, days after President Dr. Ifan Ali officially launched the auction for new oil blocks in Guyana, the country's manufacturers believe that local companies should partner with each other and foreign companies to bid for those blocks. More in this newsroom report.
There are 40 new oil blocks up for grabs offshore Guyana now that President Dr. Ifan Ali has officially launched the auction for those blocks. And President of the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association, Rafiq Khan, at a press conference on Monday said that local companies should capitalize on opportunities to bid for blocks and on the spin-off business needs that will become available. He, however, emphasized that the local private sector players have to collaborate with each other and with agencies like the GMSA to seize those opportunities.
I know I believe it's going to be in a matter of months before the opening of this auction. I don't know if it's enough time, but I must say that we need to work fast to helping our businesses get prepared. Because in 2023, before mid-2023, these auction will be finalized, and we want to be able to be better prepared. So I want to see businesses come forward and bring your ideas, challenge us at the GMSA to see how you can play a greater role, but you must put your businesses in order.
With production ongoing in just one offshore oil block, the prolific Stabroek block, many Guyanese and local businesses have been able to cash in on business because of the Guyana's local content law. Though these new developments offer exciting business opportunities for locals, the chairman of the GMSA's Committee on Trade, Investment and Legal Matters, Ramesh Duku, said that there are many concerns that need to be addressed, chief among which is the responsiveness of local banks.
And one wonders if we now have the right set of regulations in the Bank of Guyana that regulates our commercial banks, if given where our economy is, whether we need to revise those regulations to make it a little less risk averse for the private sector to be able to compete with investors from other countries that don't have those restrictions placed upon them.
In international business, U.S. stocks rose after a smaller than expected increase in consumer prices lifted investor confidence that the Federal Reserve could soon dial back its inflation-taming interest rate hikes.
But a huge rally in the morning fizzled by the afternoon. The Dow finished up just 0.3%. The benchmark S&P 500 ended about 0.75% higher, while the Nasdaq rose a full percent. The main indexes soared following the November CPI report, which showed a surprisingly small annual inflation increase of 7.1%, the lowest rate in a year. But stocks paired gains ahead of the Federal Reserve's policy statement on Wednesday, in which the central bank is widely expected to announce a 50 basis point rate hike. Liz Miller is president of Summit Place Financial Advisors.
We started the day with such a strong reaction to that great inflation number, and we really saw markets react. And as the day went on, we just saw it sort of melt away.
In market data for oil prices rose after OPEC and the International Energy Agency both forecast a rebound in demand over the course of next year, and as U.S. rate hikes are expected to ease alongside slowing inflation. Brent crude futures rose 76 cents to $81.44 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 80 cents at $76.19. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Denita Rodney.
In Belize, there is major news coming out of Prime Minister John Briceño's visit to Venezuela a few weeks ago. Among the matters deliberated during that visit was Belize's debt to Venezuela under the Petro-Carib program. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Briceño announced that negotiations with Venezuela have successfully yielded the restructuring of the debt.
I am therefore especially pleased to announce today yet another decisive step in our campaign to reverse the fiscal and debt crisis left us by the United Democratic Party government. Belize and Venezuela, President Maduro and I, on behalf of Venezuela and Belize, have agreed on restructuring the terms for Petrocaribe debts, which will reduce the amount Belize owes under Petrocaribe by anywhere between Belize $267 million and $327 million. As I said earlier, we still have to balance the books between Belize and Venezuela. Belize debt to GDP will therefore fall by another 6 to 7 percentage points. At such time that Belize can pay Venezuela, we will pay back this much reduced amount and do so from the date of our new agreement on the original terms provided for under Petrocaribe, which is at an interest rate of 2%, with a repayment period of 25 years and a principal moratorium of 2 years. We renegotiated everything and even give us a new start date. This is incredible. I don't think the one over our side would ever think that something like this could have been possible. Only people and the tacos, right?
Barbados plans to use some of the funds from a new arrangement with the IMF to upgrade low-income houses and replace old water mains. This was revealed by Prime Minister Mia Mottley during a discussion hosted by IMF on the Resilience and Sustainability Trust. Shakira Griffith has the details.
Prime Minister Mia Mottley says in addition to hurricanes, Barbados is facing a groundwater crisis. She suggests replacing the country's old water mains is a 20 to 25-year exercise. This is one of the ways the funds from the Resilience and Sustainability Trust will be put to use.
We look forward to this being able to help us with coastal defense, water mains, a number of other early warning systems, and above all else, the repurposing and reconstruction of our housing stock. If we get hit tomorrow, my greatest fear is that we will lose about 70% of our low and lower middle income housing stock because of the manner in which roofs were constructed for the last 60 years. And that's part and parcel of why we call it a roofs to reefs project, because we have to change from our roofs right back down to the rebuilding of our coral reefs.
Last week, the IMF revealed its executive board had agreed on a 36-month extended fund facility in the amount of $113 million for the island and $189 million from the Resilience and Sustainability Trust. Managing Director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, explains why the new venture is important.
Unless we change the trajectory of carbon emissions in emerging markets and developing economies, now, by 2030, they would contribute 66% of the emissions, 20% more than they did some decade ago. So for all of us, and that goes to all hands on deck, for all of us, it is so critical that we help emerging markets and developing countries to transform to low carbon and climate resilient trajectory, or otherwise we are all cooked.
The money from the trust significantly lengthens the period before repayment. Prime Minister Mottley says while the IMF has done its part in this regard, she wants other institutions to follow suit. That, she believes, will allow the country space to invest in education, health, and other areas that will benefit citizens.
I can't bring back a country after social implosion in under a generation. So that we need to understand that if ever there was a time for us to revisit debt sustainability metrics, it is now. And every dollar of debt is not equivalent. A dollar of debt to build a school does not give me the same rate of return as quickly as a dollar of debt to build a geothermal facility. So that we have to ask the economists, with all due respect, to dig a little deeper and to be a little more granular in terms of its metrics. And if we use these crude proxies, then we end up with crude results, which means people fall in between the cracks.
As Prime Minister Motley continues her call for greater political will to address challenges facing small island states, she's revealed France's President Emmanuel Macron has agreed to a summit in June or July. The focus will be on changing the basis on which financing goes to the global south. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
In Antigua, Parliament's upper house has approved a resolution to benefit individuals who were fired from the public service within weeks of qualifying for a pension between 2004 and 2014. Leader of Government Business, Senator Mary Claire Hurst, outlined how the action by the UPP administration plunged several people into poverty. Garfield Burford reports.
Today starts a new day of the elimination of victimization. Call it what it is, because that is what it is.
Yes. Senator Mary Claire Hurst pleased and relieved with a resolution placed before the Senate on Monday. The resolution is pursuant to Section 3.3 of the Pension Act, Cap 311. It ensures individuals who served in the public service for more than 9 years and 6 months but did not reach the pensionable threshold of 10 years are able to receive a pension. It is retroactive to January 1, 2004.
And if you look at the years that this occurred, Madam President, is between the years of January 2004 to June 2014, which suggests to you that it happened during that 10-year period.
The Leader of Government Business in the Senate said the resolution addresses blatant victimization, which occurred when the United Progressive Party formed the government.
I'm not talking about frontliners like me, because I had my job taken away from me as well by March the 31st, 2004. But I am a frontliner, and so maybe that was expected. But for others who, because they support an organization that is different to the one that you support, that they should be fired.
She gave examples of individuals who were fired from the public service just before they qualified for a pension and the impact this had on them.
I had calls from a lady in Villa, Muff, and when she speaks about only needed 2 more weeks to make 10 years. Oh my. And they told her to pack her bags and go. And if you hear her talk about how she had to drink cornmeal porridge and eat white flour and bread, and if you hear her, that they plunged her into poverty.
She made it clear this victimization was calculated and systematic.
And I would hear my grandmother saying, they're going to be on the steps of Public Works with their little book, Labor Day, looking to see, because they knew the route, looking to see who passing along in their red going down to North Street, and make sure by Tuesday morning, don't come to work, because they've already identified you. Go home.
She insisted that this resolution amends the pension regulations and will ensure this is not the case again.
Senators, this is the resolution before us. Will there be any debate on it? Okay.
There was no response from the opposition benches and the resolution was passed without debate.
The European Union is throwing its full support behind the Spotlight initiative with the goal of eradicating violence against women and girls.
As the 16 days of activism came to an end on Monday, Her Excellency Malgorzata Wasilewski, Ambassador of the European Union for Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean states, the OECS and CARICOM, commended Grenada for joining the movement towards ending gender-based violence. Her Excellency says she stands strongly against gender-based violence on all levels.
I'm very moved by the T-shirts that I see here. One of the ones that moved me the most is I was raped at 5. I'm a mother, and to think of a 5-year-old child being raped is just absolutely appalling. Now, we do these 16 days of activism every year. I think we all have to ask ourselves a question, whether we are engaged enough as individuals and whether we talk about it enough to actually make it meaningful and make it contribute to people saying no at all levels possible.
She called for a collaborative approach to addressing the issue of gender-based violence and creating a safe space for victims to speak out against the scourge.
I feel very strongly against gender-based violence and the relationship violence, family violence of any kind, be it against children, be it against women or young girls, or boys.
In international news, former FTX chief executive Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested on Monday in the Bahamas and now faces several fraud charges in the United States, including using company funds as his personal piggy bank. Al Jazeera has the details.
He was the face of cryptocurrency. Sam Bankman-Fried, a 30-year-old rising business star who became so famous he was known simply as SBF. Fueling his stardom was FTX, the wealthy crypto trading firm he founded. But last month, that firm came crashing down. And on Tuesday, a federal court in New York charged Bankman-Fried with 8 counts, including fraud and money laundering. Hours after, more charges were filed from the Securities and Exchange Commission.
He preyed on his customers, the victims of this case, abusing the trust placed not only in his company, but in himself as the lead of that company.
On Monday, he was arrested in the Bahamas, where he'd been living. He is expected to be extradited to the U.S. Just weeks earlier, FTX filed for bankruptcy, with millions of his customers unable to access their money.
FTX was a place where millions of people invested in cryptocurrency, from Bitcoin to Ethereum to its own coin called FTT. At its peak just last year, FTX was worth more than $32 billion, making it the world's 3rd largest crypto exchange. But Bankman-Fried also owned another company, Alameda Research, a trading hedge fund. It's alleged that he secretly funneled money from FTX to help prop up Alameda and also support his lavish lifestyle.
Even in the notoriously volatile cryptocurrency industry, experts say FTX's fall is remarkable.
One is the sheer size of it, that we're talking about potentially upwards of $10 billion worth of client assets that were lost. Next is the brand and reputation of FTX, because this is a company that had really gone out of its way to make an impression among mainstream audiences with things like celebrity endorsements and stadium naming rights.
Those celebrity endorsements even included an advertisement during the Super Bowl. It featured the actor-comedian Larry David.
I don't think so.
Turns out he was right to be skeptical. Gabriel Elizondo, Al Jazeera, New York.
In sports, Morocco's national airline, Royal Air Maroc, cancelled several flights to Doha on Wednesday, leaving hundreds of Moroccan fans hoping to attend their country's first ever World Cup semi-final stranded. Morocco will play France, their former colonial ruler, in a historic match on Thursday night. The Atlas Lions are the first Arab and African team to reach a World Cup semi-final. Royal Air Maroc issued a statement via email explaining the reason for the decision. Quote, following the latest restrictions imposed by the Qatari authorities, Royal Air Maroc regrets to inform customers of the cancellation of their flights operated by Qatar Airways. End quote. Royal Air Maroc had previously said it would provide fans with 30 additional flights in advance of their semi-final clash, but on Tuesday, a source at the airlines said that only 14 flights had been scheduled. Cancellation of Wednesday's flights leaves fans who had already booked match tickets or hotel rooms unable to travel. The airline said it would reimburse air tickets and apologized to its customers. Morocco have enjoyed significant support at the Qatar World Cup, both from thousands of fans that have already traveled to the country, as well as from fans of other Arab nations and neutrals, especially from Asia and Africa. And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.